Hi guys, welcome back. So we have this map here. I've deleted the fire starter thing because I want to, work on our animations. But before we work on animations and before I teach you how to kind of change your own character or put your own character in, I first want to drive down that concept of instances. And I think the best way to do that is to open Microsoft Paint. So we all have seen a blueprint, right? So the blueprint has three parts primarily, right? We've got the viewport, we've got the construction script. So construction, you guys haven't used the construction script yet, so you just need to know it's there. And then you've got the event graph, right? So this is what we call the blueprint class, right? Or you could also call it the blueprint template, right? Or you could also call it the master, right? You can call it one of the three, but most likely it's called the class. Now, what happens when you create, let's say this is a person, right? Let's say this is an actual, person that you've created in the viewport, and that's your mesh, right? Suppose you have that in the viewport. Now, when you create an instance of this, right? We'll create an instance of this blueprint. You can have the same person in the game with all his characteristics, right? So you can have the same thing. But one of the things, the difference between the class and an instance is that you can have multiple instances. So you can have another person, right, which borrows upon the main class, right, the same class as this one with certain changes. So for example, in the event graph, in the variables, if we had health with the default value of 100, then maybe this character could have a health of 30 and this character could have a health of 45. The idea is that you can have as many instances as possible of a class or a template or the master, and these are called the children, right? These are called the instances or the children, and they could have different properties from the main class, right? And these different properties, they're minor. In a way, it's the same thing as when you and your brother, suppose you had a brother and both of you looked very similar. Both of you inherit your features from maybe your father, right? But you might have blue eyes while your brother might have green eyes, right? So you have most of the features of your parents or your father, but you have one feature that's different, which is the eye color. Right, so you guys are technically instances of the main class, which is your father. Now, in object-oriented programming, we call this concept inheritance. Right? Now, it might seem like a strange thing to say that we are borrowing from the real world and how parents and children work, but to be honest, that's how the programming world works too. These are all objects. These two are all objects. They're instances. They're instanced objects. That's how you call them. And they borrow or inherit from the main class, right? So this is something that I want to drive deep into you. This is a programming concept, and luckily we've been able to show you a little bit. So you've done a little bit of practice before you got into the theory. So now that that's driven through, let's get on and start working on our own character in the next episode. Bye-bye.